Welcome to Love is on the Air for this very first episode. I can hardly wait to hear what we have to say ourselves. So, this is a video podcast specific to wedding suppliers and the kindness in the industry. It's so important to wedding suppliers to form alliances and trust within the industry to be able to support each other. And that is why this podcast video conversation thingy started, to give suppliers an opportunity to reach out to hundreds, if not thousands, of newly engaged couples to get an insight into what the suppliers do and how they do it. As the series goes on, we'll build a database of episodes that will hopefully give those couples searching for a specific type of supplier some of the answers they need. So, to keep updated with the videos, just follow or subscribe depending on what you are listening to or watching this on. Anyway, I've spoken long enough already, so on to what this show is all about. Today, I am joined by none other than the captivator of colour, the princess of ponytails. In fact, I hear that people have started calling her Moana because she is the queen of the waves. Is that too much? Yeah, probably too much.
Yeah, I mean, what your tolerance for too much is and what other people say is very different.
So you've probably already guessed who it is. None other than Amy Taylor, Flamingo Amy!
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
How are you?
I am really good.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
I'm very excited too. Thank you so much for joining us
That's
today
okay.
on Love is on the Air. I don't even know if that's a jingle. We haven't done the jingle yet. We're going to do the jingle next.
Oh, you're going to sing it though, right?
Only if you do as well. Maybe your husband can sing as well.
Paul my husband can sing, yeah.
Right, done. We'll do a rock and roll version.
My husband, he doesn't like my singing.
Why not?
Well, because I can't sing.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, that's a
and
good
he is
point.
a musician, so it's very painful for him.
Knows. He knows. Love it. Okay, so Amy, one thing that really caught my attention about you was when you were on your social medias. So I love this because she's so brilliant on her social media, that she was talking about bridal parties having time in the morning to be able to allow for everything to happen, for you to do your job, for the bridal party to get some wonderful photos of them being ready and stuff like that, without the mad panic that we've all seen.
Yeah.
So I mean, just to explain a little bit why you sort of put that out there, because I thought that was amazing.
Well, do you know what? This is a really great place to start. So I am really passionate about my client having an amazing time on the wedding morning. And that is part of that is being relaxed. And if you don't time things, I know it sounds really formal. People are like, oh, I don't want to like make it a military operation. But if you don't have some sort of structure to your morning, can I swear?
You can swear, of course you can.
Shit will hit the fan.
Shit will hit the fan. There's
and
our ratings
really
out
will.
the window. Just gone up to 18.
You're going to have to mark this as explicit content now.
I'm not editing anything. This is all good stuff.
And so I always make a timetable for my client in the morning. And that means that we can work at an amazing pace. It means that they have time for the photographs.
Indeed, yeah.
It means that if they want to do gifts, if they want to just even have time out to relax and not do anything. And actually that's quite important as well. Otherwise, it's such a long day, you're just going to feel overstimulated, you know. And that basically doesn't make for like a really fun morning. No. So yeah, I am really passionate about the morning being fun, but also there being an element of structure to it as well.
Yeah.
I just would say to anybody planning a wedding, give yourself more time.
More time, guys.
Need.
More time.
More time than you need. Don't put your dress on 5 minutes before you need to leave.
No.
You put it on an hour. Listen, guys.
An
hour before you need to go anywhere. And sometimes there's some objections to this. They're like, oh, it won't take that long. But let me tell you.
Listen to Amy.
Listen to me. Sometimes things will happen that you might not expect. You've seen it yourself.
Yeah.
You've seen it yourself. And it could be an underwear malfunction.
Of course.
It could be a dress malfunction. And it's really about having a great time in the morning. You need time to do that.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I think I've rambled around that.
I love I love it. I love you ramble around the point because I make a living out of that. That's brilliant. So in your own words, what do you do and how long have you been involved with weddings? And pretty much, I mean, you've worked on hundreds of weddings, I'm sure. Yeah. So I mean, do you sort of know a number?
Okay,
brilliant.
I do. Well, I haven't kept a record. I know some people have,
Yeah.
but I worked out that it's around about 800. So I've been doing this for, I know.
That's amazing.
When I tell people, they don't believe me. I'm like, no, honestly, when I tell you something,
Can you list their names now?
No, 800.
Right, how long have we got?
Honestly, when I tell people something, like the thing, get into your dress an hour before.
Yeah.
I'm like, please listen to me. I've not done this 5 times. I've done this like literally hundreds of times. And, you know, if you end up having too much time in the morning to, you know, then that's fine. It's better than not having enough, is it? And it means that you get to get your photographs as well. Like everybody wins, you know, people get their photos and they have great memories and have you know, it sets them up right.
Indeed, yeah. So I mean, sort of getting back to the other point is like, what do you actually do on the day? What do you provide? What is your service?
Oh, well, I should have said this right at the beginning.
That's my fault. First episode.
You may be able to guess potentially. I'm a hairstylist, so I'm a wedding hairstylist. So that's my full-time job. That's just what I do. I'm purely weddings, and it is a niche for sure. But no, I absolutely love it, and I've been getting on. It's about 15 years now.
15 years. Wow. That's. What did you do before this then?
Well, I came to Norwich. I'm from Southend in Essex originally, and I came up to Norwich to go to art school.
Yes.
And then...
Brilliant art school here, guys.
Yeah, it is great. And then I worked in an office for a bit. I mean, everyone's done their time at Aviva. Shout out to Aviva.
I feel
Shout
like,
out to the insurance industry.
I feel like I'm the odd one out. I never went to Aviva and I'm from Norwich. Oh my goodness. Or Norwich Union as it was back then.
Yeah, definitely. So I was there for a bit, but the really lovely thing actually is that, you know, when... I don't know if this happened when you were younger, but when I was younger, when you were 14, you did your work experience and you had to choose where to go and do your work experience. Well, mine was in a hairdresser's.
Was it?
Yeah, it was. So I always had in my mind that I wanted to do something with hair.
Okay.
And there's a whole kind of story really about how I got into it, but it's a bit long. We'll move on with your other questions.
We know what you're doing, that's fine. Okay, so how have you seen the industry change over the years that you've been in it, 14, 15 years that you've been in it? I mean, there must have been some major changes. I mean, there's one big one, you know, BC, before COVID and after COVID.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what have you done to stay relevant within that change as well?
Well, I feel like I've always occupied a bit of a alternative wedding niche. I would say that the vast majority of my weddings now aren't what are classed as alternative, but that's where I started. So where I met my husband was at the Hemsby Rock and Roll Weekender. So I was always, you can potentially tell by like how I look if you're watching this rather than listening to it. I really loved the 1940s and 50s scene and the music and all of that. And your hair is such a big part of that.
Indeed, yeah.
So when I first started, really I was probably only doing like 1940s and 50s styles for those types of weddings. Yeah. And then I started to kind of look more into it, and now I do a whole range. I always like to think that I try and throw it back to some like vintage glamour in some way, or some red carpet glamour, even modern red carpet glamour. So I'd say that my work these days is quite eclectic. It's definitely not, I wouldn't class it, you know, as the kind of 1940s or 50s stuff now. But yeah, that's where I've started. And I would say, to stay relevant. I mean, I love learning about the latest styles. Yeah. And what's really lovely is it was the Golden Globes a couple of days ago, wasn't it? And everything on the Golden Globes carpet was so vintage inspired. There were so many waves, and there was some more authentic 1940s and 50s styling on the carpet, which is what I would have done 14, 15 years ago. So that made me very happy.
So do you think it's making a comeback then, that particular style?
I think that it's...
Or has it always been there?
I feel like there's a modern influence on it now.
Okay.
It's not quite as formal as it once was. And with new styling techniques and things, it's going to look a little bit different to what it did then. Yeah. But I mean, I really hope the Golden Globes are going to have more of an influence.
Indeed, exactly. Quite a niche one for you, I think. What's the main thing that you give your clients And why do they come to you? So what is unique to you? What is your USP that they come specifically, I need Flamingo Amy? I saw the other day that you put on your social media that people are booking their dates around your availability, which is such an honour. It's so lovely, isn't it? It's so lovely to be able to do that.
It's amazing. It happens occasionally.
Yeah.
So, do you know what? I was actually having this conversation with another hairstylist a few days ago, and we were saying that all of us these days, I feel like the standard is very high generally across a lot of hairstylists now, which is great for the client. You know, it's fantastic. You know, they've got brilliant choice. But I feel like, honestly, the thing that makes each of us stand out, and whether that be florist or photographer or whoever, is the vibe you bring to a wedding.
Definitely, yeah.
And not every supplier is right for every client. And I like to try and get across, like, me on my social media, and hopefully that will then attract the clients to me that are like, oh, actually, Amy's an expert in her field.
Yeah.
She seems really nice. I really hope that's what people think.
She's nice, guys, all right? She's nice.
Supportive on the morning, helpful on the morning, can give great advice. And yeah, I think it's very much about the individual these days, picking your supplier. I mean, obviously on their skills, but also kind of on their vibe and personality.
I totally agree. It's like, as being a photographer as well, it's like, it's not all about the photography, it's about what you can bring on the day. And it's like that fun element. Not everybody likes having their photos taken. No. So it's just a case of being able to make them relaxed enough and having fun and just making them see that, oh, actually, it's not so bad. It's like, you know, I don't need to be this nervous. And I think you bring in that vibe to them as well with the hair, and you're with them all morning. And it's just, that sets them up for the day. And I think the cog of suppliers is just, we all work as a unison. It's like for one goal, isn't it? Just to make sure that the whole day is their dream into reality, isn't it?
And clients often comment, actually, they sometimes go, oh, it's so lovely that you guys know each other, because the good atmosphere kind of like bounces around the room, and it kind of, you know, gives kind of a great, an atmosphere for the client.
And on a wedding morning as well, we don't really get to spend that much time with each other, hence why we're doing these. You're doing your podcast as well, which we'll get on in a moment. And it's just nice to be able to speak to other suppliers, which is not like when you're rushing around on a wedding morning or a wedding day and stuff. Yeah. It's just nice to be able to sort of sit down, have a chat about the industry, and hopefully help others as well. So
yeah, definitely.
I wanted to put this question in because I'm sure that other people have seen this and thought, what the hell is going on here? Now, we worked on a wedding before at Norfolk Mead.
Yes.
Yes.
I think I know what you're going to say.
You know what I'm going to say. And I turned around and I saw Amy lifting the bridesmaid's dress up and spraying the legs with hairspray. And I was like, I had to get a picture of it. Hopefully I'll sync it in with this footage as well so you can see what I'm talking about. Now, you explained to me what you were doing, but obviously just explain to the viewers because, or listeners as well, because this was amazing.
Well, the bridesmaid had a very staticky dress. So it was getting stuck to her legs. As she was walking along, it was getting stuck to her legs. It didn't, you know, so it doesn't look particularly great. And also you're going to get get electric shocks off of everything. And I had heard that if you spray hairspray on the legs, it somehow stops the dress from getting stuck to the legs. If anything, I would think that it would stick the dress to the legs. So I thought I'd give it a go, and she was so desperate, she was like, well, let's just give it a bash. So you were there to capture that
I was there to capture
memorable moment.
Sorry, not sorry. Anyway, moving on. Okay, we're going to flip reverse it. I think it's time for you to ask me a question.
I'm ready.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Goodness. She hasn't told me what this question is, so I'm on the spot.
Okay, Richard.
Oh, dear.
This question I have for you.
Okay.
So, anyone listening, if you do know Richard or have followed him for some time, you'll know that you had a job you were an entertainer, weren't you?
An entertainer, I was, yes.
And I want you to tell people a little bit more about that. So what did you used to do?
So I started out holiday camps. So learn your trade at a holiday camp. If you're going to be an entertainer, start on a holiday camp because it's just, the grounding is brilliant because you speak to everybody, everybody's your friend. You do a show and it might be the worst show you've ever done, but everybody out there are your friends and you're just like, yay, well done, Richard, you're amazing. It's like, what's I? Oh, shit.
But do you know, Richard, I was referring to your tribute band days So Richard was in a tribute band.
I was in a tribute band, yes.
And tell us which 90s band this was.
So I was in a tribute band called Steps Beyond, which was a tribute to Steps Tragedy. And you know what? Apart from this job, it was the best job ever. Mm-hmm. We travelled around the theatres in the UK, we were doing cruises, we were doing hotels abroad. And do you know what? It's that gave me the grounding as well to be able to do what I'm doing now, because it's... When I first went into photography, I was just like, oh my God, there's so many amazing photographers out there. Hopefully there'll be a few on here on this podcast later on. How the hell do I compete with these? And it's like, and then I just suddenly realised, one of my friends told me, people are booking you because they want you. It's not necessarily the photography. It's like, okay, it's like, I need to be good at photography anyway, but it's the fact that you bring something, like we were saying earlier, the vibe that you bring. And I didn't realise that at all. It just completely bypassed me. And when I suddenly put two and two together, so from Steps Tribute Band and 80s bands and stuff that are in, and wedding singing and bands, it was always about making sure everybody was having a great time and delivering an entertainment service, so everybody was having this brilliant time. Yeah. And it just suddenly clicked, and it's like, right, okay, I'm just going to be personality plus. I can go in the morning, da-da, hi, I'm here, everybody. It's like, you know, and just hopefully bring that vibe up, and everybody's just like, oh, do you know what? We don't have to worry, it's fine. Everybody, you know, if he's acting like an idiot, then it can't be did that serious, can it? It's their wedding day, so it's just trying to make it. So yes, that was, I hope I answered that question.
You did. Well, the question was going to be, like, how did you bring that experience into the weddings? But you have just answered that.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, so there you go. I didn't even need to ask you the question.
It's like we're psychics. Oh, my God. Okay, let's get back to you quickly. My goodness. Out of all the wonderful things that you've bought for your job, Amy, what has been your favourite purchase so far to do your job?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. I actually didn't think this one through, I'm afraid.
No, that's fine. That's all right. On the spot is good.
Well, this is going to sound really boring potentially, but in the summertime, as you know, it can get very hot in the prep rooms. And last summer, I bought one of these neck fans. Have you seen them?
These are like borderline Crocs, aren't they?
Let's not even say the C word. Not that C word, but that C word. You can say the other C word, but not that one. So I don't wear it for myself. I mean, you do look like a bit of a fool wearing one, but I actually give it to my clients just to hold.
Oh,
and
that's a good
honestly,
idea. Yes.
Even if it's not too hot, clients are getting hot anyway because they're nervous.
Yeah, they're nervous, yeah.
And it was just been amazing handing it to a client and the client just being like,
thank you.
Thank you so much. I feel so much better now.
That's a good answer.
So I think that's one of the best recent purchases.
Awesome. I think you were going to do some elaborate form of hair tongs or straighteners and stuff, but no, a neck fan. Brilliant.
No, sometimes
keep it
it's
simple.
The things that help us do our job and not the tools to do the job, if that makes sense. So
definitely. Okay, so what type of couples, I think you've answered this already, but what type of couples do you think are drawn to you and your style?
Well, it's hard to answer this question, but they're just, honestly, like, being completely genuine, just really nice people.
Love that, yes.
I just don't get horrible people, or very rarely. I mean, being real here, you know, we've all had difficult experiences. But honestly, I couldn't do this job if my clients weren't really nice.
Amazing.
Really respectful.
Keep up the good work, guys. Keep up the good work.
And just like trusting of me, people that trust me.
Yeah.
And I do like a really big variety of things. Like I say, there is that hint to kind of red carpet, but then I can do some more modern boho type things as well. Sometimes people just want a really nice blow dry. So I actually wouldn't pigeonhole myself in any one particular style, but it's just people that have seen what I can do and they trust me, and that is the biggest compliment.
Amazing. Awesome. Definitely. So let's get serious for a second. SFAS. What is the one piece of advice that you try to get your couples to follow? Out of all the knowledge that you have and that you try to impart upon them, what's the one thing that I need you to listen to me on this?
Well, it probably goes back to what I said right at the beginning. I'm just going to emphasise it.
Yeah, emphasise away. There's your camera.
Give yourself enough time on the morning. Don't rush. Get your dress on an hour before you need to leave or an hour before the registrar arrives, you will regret it if you don't. Please believe me.
Okay. Awesome. And lastly, is there anything that you would change in the industry at all to make it better for everyone? I mean, you've talked about being kind and everything already and stuff like that, and I think that's sort of maybe a part of it, but is there anything that you've noticed, like, if only we could do it like this, it would make everybody feel better?
Oh, that's really difficult, because I feel like the wedding industry is moving in the right direction. In terms of things can be so much more personalised now, so much less formal. You know, like today we're here, which is a stunning venue. And it's really hard to say. I think that we just need to keep doing what we're doing. And I think for couples to know that there are alternatives. Indeed. They don't need to follow any sort of tradition, and it should be a celebration of them as, it sounds really cringy, I'm sorry.
No, it doesn't sound cringy at all.
But them as people, and it should be personalised to them. And I think we're definitely moving in the right direction.
I totally agree, definitely. I saw you post the other day about celebrants at weddings, and this venue here is the perfect place, because I've done weddings here which have had both registrars and celebrants, and the type of bride and couple that this place attracts is people that want to do their own thing in their own way. And this venue, this is the Flint Room in Norwich, and we'll be talking to Leslie a little bit later in the series about this place. Honestly, it's amazing. If you get a chance to come and have a look, come and have a look. It's phenomenal. But it's lovely to be able to sort of know that a celebrant can deliver your vows in the way that you want. You can write your own vows, give them to them, and they will do all this, basically a show, isn't it, of like your life. Whereas a registrar has to stick to a certain script. You can choose which type of script you want, but it's...
Some people might like that.
No, of course, exactly. There's something for everybody.
There is something for everyone, just because some people are like, honestly, I'm just sorry about the microphone. Sorry about the microphone, everyone. If there's little sounds there, I do apologise. Some people just want the ceremony over and done with. They're nervous about it. And maybe having a registrar would be the best thing for them, because it's relatively short, isn't it? You know yourself. But when on Burying the Sausage, on my own podcast, I was speaking to a celebrant, and she said to me something that really stuck with me, actually. And she said, arguably, the ceremony is the most important part of your day. I'm going to credit that to Jamie Walker. I don't want to take credit for her incredible words. And she's totally right. And there is one thing I would change, Richard, now that we've just been talking. I would really like couples to realise that the wedding day is about fun, and they shouldn't try not to take things too seriously. I've seen people taking things too seriously, and it's ruined it for them. You know, it's taken the joy, it's sapped the joy from the day for them. And I think by having a celebrant, as an example, it brings it back to what it's about. It's about your marriage. Don't worry about social media. I mean, we all love a bit of social media. Don't get me wrong, love the social media. I love it. But don't let that aspect make you worried about your wedding day. Just remember what it's about. I think that's what I would say.
Amazing. No, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. And I think, just to end on that as well, it's like 10, 15 years ago, a lot of people were sort of that transition from like the old traditional type of weddings as well, also in photography anyway. It's like there's lots of group shots, there's lots of poses, whereas nowadays a lot of people want it a lot more relaxed, like you said, candid shots, only a minimal amount of like group shots and things like that, and it's just like, and just having fun and enjoying the day. And I think what you said, just creating your own vibe and getting the suppliers that will help you do that as well, which is amazing. Okay, so bonus question, last question, and it's a big one. Probably going to make it as a poll question once I have recorded all the episodes. Are you I can't even say it. Are you a fan of the footwear known as I can't even say it. Crocs?
Well, do you know what, Richard? You shouldn't have put this in the PDF you sent to me because I've prepared myself. I have prepared myself for this moment.
Oh my goodness, have you really?
Yeah, you see,
oh, wow.
I'm not like, you know, dry heaving like you are right now.
Goodness,
I've managed to control that within me. This is a joke. This whole thing about Crocs is a joke, and I'm really sorry to anybody listening who embraces the Croc lifestyle.
We know who we're talking about here, don't we, James Rice?
But it's just a joke between me and some other people. It's that they're not my favourite footwear.
No.
I'm love a DM myself.
Of course.
But I understand that Crocs have their place, you know, in a rubbish bin.
You heard it here. You heard it here first.
In landfill.
Landfill. Although apparently they last for thousands of years. They'd never break down.
Well, we could maybe recycle them into some sort of, you know, they make those barriers to collect pollution in the ocean where they kind of...
They have a use.
You could string them together like a massive sort of long necklace and they could collect pollution in the ocean. So they could give back.
I love that.
So that, you know, they've taken so much and now they can give back.
Taken so much. Anyway, enough of that. Let's move on. So with this episode drawing to a close, I just want to say a huge thank you to Amy for joining me here today in this phenomenal venue, which I said before is the Flint Room in Norwich. If you have any questions for Amy, for myself or the Flint Room, then please do pop your questions in the comments below or beside or wherever the comments are on your way of viewing or listening. Amy, you are amazing, as always. Thank you so much for coming on board. And just say a little bit about your podcast, because I wanted to have you as the first interviewee as such, because I know that you've just started your podcast, which is going amazingly well. And it's just so nice that you're sort of engaging all these beautiful wedding suppliers that are coming on board and talking about the industry and giving everybody these insights that wedding shows can't always offer, because you've only got a minimal amount of time, and then you can't meet up with every single person that you've met at a wedding show because you'll be all year meeting them all. So it's just nice to be able to, people can digest all this in their own time. So anything you want to say about burying the sausage?
Yeah, so my website, my podcast is called Burying the Sausage, a wedding podcast. The reason it's called that, I will just give a quick explanation, is because there's a modern urban myth that if you bury a sausage in the grounds the night before your wedding, not a euphemism, guys, you will have sunshine the next day.
Yes.
And yeah, in my very first episode on Burying the Sausage, we dive into the folklore behind that.
Love that. I'll put a link below or beside or wherever you're seeing this. Join us next time when we speak to the owners of this phenomenal venue, the Flint Room, Leslie and Trish. Until then, love you.